Hello children, today we are learning about a new topic called social movements of our times, the 20th chapter of our social studies. So what is meant by this social movements? Can anyone has any idea? Social movement. What is called a social movement? We have been learned about freedom movement in our previous classes. Now, what is this social movement? A movement which is done for the sake of the social justice, social equality, social fraternity. Okay, that we call as social justice. That means movement of social equality, justice. Okay, so then like freedom of speaking, like that means the movement which we do for the sake of our basic rights, like freedom of speech, freedom of education, right to equality, like this type of movement we call as a social movements. So what actually happened, the background of this is generally we can say during the first half of the 20th century, that is first half of 20th century. Okay, what has been happened during this first half of the 20th century? See, like different types of things has been happened. The great wars, 2 wars happened. The next thing is revolutions, and next is emergence of German fascism. Emergence of German fascism, then Soviet socialism, like Western liberalization. Like this, many things have been happened, okay, etc. If we go on writing, it will be a big list. So, like that, many things have been happened, like even the war with Indochina, as well as many of the new countries have been got independence, like India, China, Indonesia, Nigeria, Egypt. Okay, by the mid of the 1950s, and a new era has been begun. In that new era, what has been happened? See, till 1950s, most of the countries were back of the occupying one or the other country, or even though they have some internal problem, but they were focused more on external issues like occupying a nation, fighting for the sake of freedom, fighting for the sake of independence, something like that. One or the other way, they are fighting for different multiple options and multiple purpose. Okay, but finally, by after the year of 1950s, okay, almost a new era has started. Okay, what happened in this new era actually, how it has been started and what it has been marked, the new era, that we'll be learning in this moment. So the first moment, what the social movement, the first social movement what we'll be learning is civil rights movement. Okay, what about this civil rights movement? Okay, it has been started in the year of 1960s. Okay, it has been started in the year of 1960s. Okay, where it has been started? It has been started in the year of 1960s in USA. Okay, and the leader of this was Mr. Dr. Martin Luther King. Okay, what actually this movement? Okay, this movement has been started for the sake of it's a Afro-American movement. So, what actually happened during this movement and how it has been happened, all these things we'll be learning now. See, this movement was a movement which we call as Afro-American movement. Why we are calling it as Afro-American movement? All of us know that majority of the Africans, okay, from different parts of the African continent, they were brought to US as well as even to other European countries as slaves by the colonial masters, and even there was a slave trade also has been very prominent at that particular time period. It was very much in use, and most of the people have been brought from Africa to America as well as even other parts of the world as slaves by the colonial masters, and they were treated very badly. So at that particular time period in US, some majority of the people from Africa has been settled who were called as Afro-Americans. So these Afro-Americans used to be treated very badly in USA based on the color, what we call in simple as a racial discrimination. Even we have other name for this, that what we call as apartheid. Okay, this is also a movement which we call so racial discrimination or apartheid. So as a part of this only, as a part of this movement only, this civil rights movement has been started. What actually the aim of the civil rights movement? The aim of the civil rights movement is that there should be abolition of discrimination on blacks by the whites. Abolition of discrimination on blacks by the whites. This need to be abolished. This need to be removed. For this purpose, the blacks in the country had been started a movement, and the leader of this movement was Dr. Martin Luther King, and he has been advocated people, created awareness among the people, gave many public speeches, debates, many things have been happened. What not he has been not done for the sake of the discrimination of this racial discrimination. He has been did lot many things. Among them, one of the most important things is like conducting public meetings, addressing the people, creating awareness among the people, like hartals, processions, revolutions. Along with that, even there was something like different types of discrimination of different types of services. Like they used to have different buses, separate buses for whites and blacks, separate school for blacks and whites, separate beach, separate saloons. Like this, everything used to be separate for blacks and whites. So this type of discrimination need to be removed. Like that has been happened, and not only that, even it has been on 28th August 1963. Okay, there was a large scale discrimination of different types of services, like even the schools were banned by the students and even the offices and all the other things also. That means completely blacks have been banned. All the services which have been provided for them by the white government, everything has been removed, and then even they have been banned all the basic activities also. And they did a lot of view, and he expressed, Martin Luther has been expressed, he used to follow a non-violent method, and he felt that by discussions, hartal, showing our dissatisfaction, definitely there can be a change in the whites, and definitely the white government may give better opportunities for them. That also they meaning they have been felt. And even some other people, like here we have a person called Malcolm Ten. Okay, he were in the view of that blacks were a separate nation and should fight for independence from white rule. So like that, even they also felt that in order to win power, they will have to use all means, including armed conflict. That means even they are ready for going with the violent methods also. Like that, this type of activities also has been done. But Martin Luther has been said in his one of his great speeches. So he had been said that I have a dream. So this is his famous speech. Like how Swami Vivekananda has a great speech at Chicago, the same way here Martin Luther also has a speech which is named as I have a dream. In his speech, he has been addressed different types of discriminations, the way how people are living, how they are leading the life, how it need to be, and how they need to overcome that. All these type of things many have been happened. And even in this movement, not only the men, even the black women also have been participated, because even they wanted to make their own voice in this, and they also wanted to achieve the freedom and discrimination from the whites. Okay, like this, it was a great movement which has been happened and which has been suppressed by the whites. But finally, this civil rights movement has been marked as a great epic in the history of the USA, and which has been shaped the modern history of the USA. So after a long struggle, finally the whites have been got equal rights, and afterwards we know what is the condition of USA. Even a black person has been become the president of USA also. That was Mr. Barack Obama. That is also seen that we can experience that. All this has been happened because of lot sacrifice and many other things by the great people like Dr. Martin Luther King. So next what we have is human rights movement in USSR. What is this human rights movement in USSR? Okay, so what about this human rights movement in USSR? Human rights movement in USSR is, in those days, USSR, okay, everyone knows that, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. Okay, so these organizations have been comprised with many of the countries who follows the communism, or who have been adored or liked the policies of the Russia and joined the group. Among them, most of the countries are Hungary, okay, Poland, and Czechoslovakia. Okay, these are the countries. So here what actually has been happened means, already we have been learned the suppression of opposition. In our previous lesson we have been learned these USSR used to use some of the policies to suppress the opposition. Okay, suppress the opposition, then no freedom of speech, free press abolished, free press abolished. Okay, and also even many other problems are also have been happened during this particular even the multi-party system, no multi-party system. Okay, like this, it has majority of the many of the problems. So Here, the people were feared, and always they are in tension, always they are in hyper, tensed and fear situation. They were not that freely moved. Even the people cannot move freely wherever they want. That means even the freedom of movement also not there. Even for the ordinary people, either the freedom of expression, that is no way. And like that, many movements, many problems and controversies as well as restrictions were laid on the people, because to propagate the communism ideology, as well as to have only one party system and to rule the country unitedly by without creating any internal issues. So they have been laid many of the restrictions. So to have strengthened their own ideology or their own policies, they have been laid many restrictions on the people, as well as even on the different types of organizations also. So to come out of these type of situation, there were many movements which have been happened in different parts of the USSR, particularly like Hungary, Poland and Czechoslovakia. And even these countries have been got Hungary, Poland, Czechoslovakia. These type of countries got a majority of the support from US and UK, because they are anti-communist countries, because they don't want to spread of communism. They wanted to stop. They wanted to abolish the spreading of communism in the world. So that countries also have been supported them, and even these movements are also called as human rights and many shades of differences. Why they are called as human rights movement? We see generally human being has generally people has the ordinary people has freedom of expression, freedom of what you can say, right to education, right to free religion, right to education, right to live. Like that, they have some of the fundamental basic rights for every citizens in a country. But here, even that basic rights or the fundamental rights are also curbed by the USSR organization, and even because they want to promote and they want to propagate and they want to make their country as a communist country, and they have their own policies. Because of that, for maybe one or the other reason, they have been laid some of the restrictions on these type of things. So because of these type of issues, there have been lot many issues and lot many movements have been took place entire this point. At that particular time period, particularly these trends were called as, here we have a person called Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the famous writer, and Andrei Sakharov, the nuclear scientist, very important leaders of this movement. That means they undertook the movement. They have been started the movement. As one person is a famous writer, another one is a nuclear scientist. These two people have been started, were the leaders, and they played a prominent and important role in having different types of what we can say human rights movements across the USSR in different parts. Okay, how Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, Lal Bahadur Shastri, like that, many freedom movement leaders were there to take the freedom movement of India ahead the same way. These are the people, Alexander as well as Mr. Andrei Sakharov. These are the two people who have been started movements across the USSR, and they have been started this human rights movement for get the freedom or the independence or the fraternity of the people. At that particular time period, the USSR under the presidency of Gorbachev, who initiated a process of reform called Glasnost, to bring greater freedom to the people. That means at that particular time period, when these movements are going on, to suppress the movement or to stop the movement and to maintain peace and to have a unity in the country internally. So the president, at that particular time period, the president of this USSR, he was Mr. Gorbachev. Okay, he initiated. That means he took steps towards the reforming the rules and regulations or the existing policies of the country or of the Union USSR. And for that, he has been named a name that is called as Glasnost. Okay, this was the name given to the reformation movement or the reformation policies initiated by the USSR. And next, what we have is anti-nuclear and anti-war movements. We will be learning in our upcoming topics.